Basically, when I come to church, I just feel loved. It's like a warm feeling that I get when I come to church. It first started when I came back from the youth gathering about 3 summers ago. It's just like there I grew super close in my faith with God, and then come to church, I'm like the most happiest I am at church. I feel this warm kind of hug that Jesus is always there, and it just motivates me to come.
What was it about the youth gathering that made you feel like that?
Definitely the worship nights. Being in a whole baseball stadium with thousands of teenagers that love Jesus, share our faith, and just singing and being with God in that time, and just being with all the youth together, getting that like Holy Spirit feeling inside.
I would say kind of like what you said, like what motivates me the most is like knowing that when I come here, like I'll have fellowship. And for me personally, like being in high school, like I go to a public high school, so it's really hard to find fellowship within my high school. Like we have Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which I lead, and so that's been helpful. But I feel like when I come here, I know that I'm going to be surrounded by people who truly think and believe the same way that I think, and that I can come here and, you know, when people ask me, like, how I am and stuff, like my friends, you know, like, if people ask me how I am, like, I know I can be honest, like, I don't have to say, like, you know, I'm doing good, like, just out of habit, like, I know that I can come here and, like, if I'm going through something, I can talk to people that I trust and people that love me and care about me.
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, the openness and just acceptance we have here, like, I feel like we do a very good job of welcoming people with open arms and just making people feel included and feel seen and heard, and that they want their presence to be, like, you know, at church and with our community, because I feel like a lot of times, like, through trying different churches up at school to, you know, stay connected up there, like, you really see the difference of a church's care for their community and for their congregation. Like, I've had multiple churches where I've gone and I've had a person's, you know, who's greeting people say hi, but that's kind of the extent of communication with me. So then it's just like, okay, like, am I just a number to you? And that's not like that here. And it's...
I think it's just, for me, it's a place where you find peace. It's a sanctuary. It's home. And you know, where 2 or more are gathered, God is here. So it's a connection to you hear God's word, and you get a chance to take a deep breath and get ready for the rest of the week.
Without it, I find myself letting things outside the church. So coming to church brings me peace, especially, you know, receiving communion, you know, gives me some perspective of how I want to live and how I want to be in my life and faith.
Even though it's hard to come to church with small kids, that's my main motivation for coming, is my kids. Like, I truly can say that if I wasn't raised coming to church every, you know, week after week and being super involved in church, obviously I can't say that I wouldn't have strayed, but I think it's a much larger possibility. I mean, I had a very rebellious streak in me when I was younger and was very strong-willed, and I think that it's the things that were spoken into me constantly that kept bringing me back, and so I would like to give that gift to my children as well, not saying that that will necessarily mean that they continue to come to church, but I think that if I don't do that for my kids, then I think I'm robbing them of something. And then just community as well for me, just having friends that I can talk to, like-minded people.
My parents also were very diligent with bringing us to church and having us participate in VBS and youth group, and there were times where I hated it. I was way too good for it or way too far beyond it, and there were times where I loved it as a kid. Like, I loved Sunday school, I loved my teachers, I loved learning those stories. And so there was like both and to go back to that. And so I say my motivation to come to church is, again, for that reason, for my boys to have that. And I think it's also super important for children to have other adults in their life that are speaking the same things that their parents are speaking to them, but they're going to hear it in a different way. I know that as a teacher, the parents blue in their face could be saying something to their child, and yet another adult says it and it clicks. Or they might realize, oh, this is wisdom. This is not just my parents harping on me. And I am so grateful for the teachers and other adults that I've had in my life, that I want my boys to be in an environment with multi-generations, with people who are their friends' moms. I want that community for them. I want, Crystal and Micayla to be able to talk to Owen and Malachi like they do their own children. And I know that they do. And church is such a unique place for that to happen that I don't think you get that anywhere else.
If you've never had the opportunity after the 8 o'clock service, all of our children rush the front of the sanctuary. Like it has become sort of a habit for them.
It is a habit. It's where they find their friends.
Yes.
They've been sitting still for so long.
They just all go home. Which is a hoot and a half, but then it's like there are just a lot of small blonde boys running around right after the 8 o'clock service. So I think I could say exactly the same things, that it's all about, for me, it's all about modeling being in church for Micah. And I think kind of the other side of that is something we were talking about was sometimes in our phase of life, being in church is not necessarily worshipful, or like we don't have the opportunity for fellowship because we are parenting the whole time. Like, how could you possibly have eaten your snack before the service even starts?
We didn't even stand up yet.
Right. And so it's like sometimes church is not like for me, but it is modeling being in church for Micah. And I remind myself constantly that I'm a Christian and I'm confident in my faith, but that doesn't mean church is not for me, and that God doesn't desire for me to be in church in a community of believers every single week. And so even when I'm feeling very frustrated and it's like, well, I don't know what the sermon was about, sorry Ben, because we went to, we had to go potty and wash our hands 4 times in 20 minutes. It's still important and it's still valuable, even if I don't absorb the content.
I was thinking about that all this week, and I thought, being born into a Christian family that always went to church, first of all, I guess one could say it was a habit. But it's good to form good habits. So if you want to call that a habit, I think that's okay. But yet, when I go to church, I just feel so much at peace, and just to know that I'm there to worship God, and that He wants us to sing praises to Him and listen to that sermon that you can take home and use during the week. And then the fellowship of all the other people that are there that lift you up and encourage you. I never went through a time in my life when I thought, oh, do I have to go to church? Ugh. Never that happened to me. I always enjoyed going. And I've been thankful for that. That's been important. And now as I get older, well, there are times we do miss. And usually it's for a good reason. But yes, then we check with somebody else. What was the sermon like? Or what did they say? What about the announcements? What's going on during the week or that? So it really is an important part of my life.
My parents were very strict, and they went by the Bible, and so we went to church morning, afternoon, and evening. And so all my life I went to church every Sunday. And as I got older and started my life, I just knew that God was was with me even in my teenage times, even though I didn't think of it as that, but we always went to church. And I went to church every single Sunday. And we all went and we were in one place in the front of the church.
There's a lot of interesting ministers on the radio and on TV. And so I can, in the morning, and I can even get the Lutheran message that Pastor Barry used to have, and now the other churches
Lutheran
have
hour.
taken, and they're wonderful. And so I can listen to those on the radio on Sunday morning, and then on Sunday night I can watch Adrian Rodgers and David Jeremiah, which I think are excellent too. But my dear friend Mary Jean, she makes sure that I get the service, the whole service. She gets it on her computer. I don't have a computer. I don't have anything like that. I don't even have a cell phone. So she'll call me when she gets home, and then she'll get it on her computer, and I can listen on my telephone, on the phone, and hear the whole service that way. Now, I've been going to her house a few times because I help her with her sewing. I do what I can do. She's the master seamstress, and I love working with her, and she allows me to work with her. And so now that if I'm there, then I can watch the service on her phone. Is that a phone that you can get it on?
iPad.
Yeah, whatever she has, and so I can even see it. And so I get it that way. So I haven't lost connection with that.